recording, however you want to look at it. No, I think we're good.
Testing volume with a big old belch.
Right. What is this, episode 4?
Yeah.
We are 4 episodes in. I am astonished. Yeah. Do we want to do the week update or whatever?
Yeah, what's new? You guys doing anything?
Right
Health
now?
related? Do you know what I'm doing?
Sure. Does that mean
Aaron,
we need to know. What do you do?
I think I told you about this on last week, but I have been getting cold.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Me too.
Yeah, you've always kind of done that, but it's a big deal for me to intentionally get cold.
Yeah, I like the updates that you said. Just, I don't know, it's like 3 or 5 minutes you're talking about it, but last week, keep going.
I listened to a podcast it's kind of like I've always known this, not always, but I mean I've heard it before, but after I listened to this podcast it kind of like I need to do it kind of thing. So I've just been going outside in the morning. On the days I work I don't get the light therapy because the sun's not up obviously, but I get the cold therapy still. Because it is December here now. So this morning it was 26 degrees while I was doing this. But just to actually shiver a little bit. So I don't know. I also take my coffee out there. So I'm not dying. So some sort of enjoyment out of it. But
I'm going to ask, does it defeat their purpose?
I don't think so. I'm still getting really cold.
Okay.
She's just a little warm.
I'm
drinking boiling water.
My
to
tongue
stay
is warm.
But the goal is to be cold.
I'd like to spill that coffee on my toes, to be completely honest with you, because it's so...
Your toes are melting. Yeah, but they feel great.
I'm not bundling up either. I guess I should say that. I'm just wearing whatever I have on. I like to eventually wear less clothes. I actually posted about it on my story this morning, but for right now, I'm just gonna whatever I have on, just little effort as possible. And yeah, it's it helps with a million things, but definitely inflammation. It said 15 minutes of shivering is the equivalent. This podcast said this is the equivalent of an hour of working out. And I'm not really sure what that means, working out, because it's not lifting, but maybe cardio is what I'm thinking.
I mean, I guess depending on the type of physical activity you're doing, you could argue that you could burn them in calories.
It said the glycogen depletion in your muscles is what it's the equivalent as. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the energy it's requiring to shiver.
To stay alive when it's really cold.
Well, isn't that also kind of what fat's supposed to be used for? Stay warm.
I mean, I think that's the point. You can burn fat by being cold.
Yeah.
Because you use it to stay warm. But also I've taken a cold shower. I am out of breath afterwards. I have literally ran a marathon. It is insane.
A cold shower.
A cold.
You took one cold shower, a singular cold shower.
I don't shower every day. I know.
Okay.
I get in the bathtub at night sometimes with my kids, but I don't shower every day.
So more evidence of Erin's hippie side.
I literally wash my hair once a week.
Hey, I remember in anatomy, our professor talked about they're look, it's really not actually healthy to take a shower every day, especially if you're not doing anything, and it's really not good for your hair, to wash it every day. And
I totally believe that.
And I can see that.
So listen to this. I heard this kind of research as well. I'll never do this. I'd like to think I could eventually, but probably never will. You should shower after you sweat, immediately after you sweat, because you release all these toxins when you sweat, and then you reabsorb them as soon as. And there's been this test done with this guy put iodine on his skin, and then he would sweat, and he wore a white t-shirt. So then it came out in the white t-shirt, the color of it. And then once his sweat dried, it was gone. So it was back into his skin, and it wasn't on the surface of his skin either. What do you think about that? I will never shower after I sweat every single time. I mean, I will sometimes, but not every time. There's no way.
I could see like if you could do a shower, right after, and maybe just like rinse off, make like a rinse off kind of deal, and maybe not go like super crazy with, like.
But there's not a
scrubbing your
shower at
skin
the
off.
gym. I'd have to wait till I get home. My sweat would already be dry. There'd be no way.
It makes sense though too, from the standpoint of like, we always consider your skin is your largest organ, and it is very, like it absorbs a lot of stuff. So really, I mean, it kind of makes sense.
I have a
that would work
solution.
out.
We should install a hot tub behind the gym.
or just have less toxins in your life.
I think
That
that
would work as well.
this is a perfect example of, I'm glad they did the research, but in order to make it practical, it's unrealistic for anybody I know,
Yeah.
unless you live in a tent right next to a stream.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we just got done hunting, and then in the stream,
Right.
and then cool off or whatever. That is unrealistic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool
Can
to
be.
know. It's very cool to know.
Yeah.
How many we just talked about showers not being healthy, and you're supposed to take a shower
Exactly.
after you sweat. I'm not supposed to sweat because I'm going to reabsorb the toxins.
Exactly.
So I'm not allowed to work out this hard
Right.
today.
Like I'm not going to get a shower, and so now I'm not going to sweat. But anyways, that is like the perfect example of why having all the information is sometimes not the best thing,
Yeah.
like just do what feels good.
Yeah.
It's very hard to, so like when we look at like studies and stuff, like it's very difficult. Like you got to look at like how the study was written, how the study was conducted, and there's so much that goes into that. And a lot of times, just because something either is statistically significant or there's a trend in a certain direction doesn't mean that it's always the rule. And that's the kind of the fun part about the human body and stuff, is that we're still figuring a lot of stuff out. And there are things that like, oh, look, this study shows this trend, but it may not be something that's consistent across a large group of people. Because like there was a study that everybody likes to use is like, this is the reason that Olympic lifting is the best for performance athletes. And the study had a bunch of like early, like freshman, sophomore aged high school athletes. And the argument against that study is that you could have put them on any program and they would have gotten these positive outcomes that they got. They just happened to use Olympic lifting.
You could have done,
Right.
tricep extensions and bicep curls. That's the secret. to
Right.
athletics.
With them, with that age group, you can almost do anything if it's intelligently programmed. You know what I mean? But like, and so that's a prime example of like, okay, the study it showed this, but just because it showed that positive outcome doesn't mean that Olympic lifting is the holy grail. So just because one study showed, hey, like you can reabsorb some toxins, doesn't mean that like you have to shower after every single time you sweat, because like they said, you sweat all day, like you a little bit, like your body is
In the
always
summer,
secreting.
I mean, I
something.
can sweat like 5 times a day.
As gross as that sounds.
Or like once all day. Or, like how do you, sometimes it's
Like I go outside, do something,
Yeah.
I'm sweating, and I go inside and do something else, I'm not sweating, and then I work out and I sweat.
It's everywhere.
Go on a walk or sweat.
yeah.
It's 90 degrees outside. I'm sweating all day. Anyways.
I think most people do like the almost not the opposite of what the study, like said, but pretty much, that's how I'm during the summer. I'll do all like outside dirty, sweaty stuff, and then I'll take a shower when I'm done doing all that stuff. And
Like at the end of the day.
I won't do anything else.
Yeah.
It's like when
It's
I'm
like-
showering, I'm like, I'm lazy now. I'm not
I
doing
have
anything because I
showered.
don't want to sweat again or get dirty.
Exactly.
Because I'm done. I don't want to take a shower
Yeah.
again.
And you sweat a little bit worse after you've showered, I find. It's just a little bit worse.
Sometimes. Well, that's another benefit of taking a cold shower. Sometimes is it helps just bring your body temp back down. Do that contrast.
Dude.
It's brutal.
Kyle walked in the bathroom after I took my cold shower, and he said, "Did I scare you?" And I said, "No, why?" And he goes, "Why are you breathing like that?" I was like, That was hard work in there.
How long did you go?
I don't know. I just like
Did it until you couldn't
I don't
stand
think
it
I don't
anymore?
think it even matters.
I have no idea. I
was
stand
just
under the
curious.
water and I just walk
Yeah.
around in circles, and I'm like, actually, I'm really trying to breathe a lot deeper than
I
that,
have to
but-
like psych myself up. Like so like I usually will like take a normal shower. And I don't like take overly hot showers, but like I'll take a normal shower
I do. I like my skin to burn.
and then like I'll rinse off and I'll be standing there and I'm like and so I'll just kick it to cold and I'll just stand there and hyperventilate for a few seconds and try to like bring my breathing back down under control. And I usually try to stay there either until I can bring my breathing back to normal and I'm regulated to in terms of like it's just cold now, or like if I've got a lot of time and I'm really feeling like I need the recovery, I'll do like a 10-minute on and off. Like so I'll go 10 every other minute, hot and cold, just go back and forth contrasting it for 10 minutes. So like if I've only done it like 2 or 3 times and it's not any fun.
There's a part of me. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, anytime I feel the need to take a cold shower,
Don't make fun of it like that.
I do. Sorry, I just I do one of two things. Either it's kind of chilly the whole time, and I don't care, and I don't do anything special, or I do exactly what Jared said.
Yeah.
Is I go as cold as I can until I can literally. I mean, like the shower's done. I'm just like it's time to focus on being cold.
Yeah.
So as cold as I can take it, calm my breathing, and I won't go colder until I can calm my breathing. And as soon as I can calm my breathing, colder, 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 and as cold as it goes until I calm my breathing, I'm done.
Right.
The end.
Nice.
I would love to get, since we're going to get a hot tub, like I think
Ice bath.
we should get a trough for ice baths for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, during the warmer months, I like that idea.
Yeah.
But if it's cold, I kind of like doing what you just said. It's like just go outside
Yeah.
when you're not prepared to go outside and
Right.
just be cold for a little bit. And just watch out for ice because if no one knows you're outside, you slip on ice, bam, hit your head. It's like, hey, where's Erin? I haven't seen her for like 3 hours, and then you're in a coma.
Anyways.
Amazing.
Hey, I think about that stuff because you guys know where I live, and no one.
You fall through
The
the ice.
average age of my neighbors is like 80 years old. You think they're gonna help me? They're not gonna look for me.
Are you always looking for them though? Because you need to be.
I mean,
so and so fallen.
not necessarily.
Well, you need to be.
I mean, I'm fairly aware of who my neighbor, the neighbors that I live really close to. I'm like, I haven't seen them in a while. Kind of thing.
Wow.
Are you guys doing anything right now?
No.
Anything of that nature?
She almost said of value. She
No, I
almost
did
said
not.
that is what
word
it sounded
never
like.
crossed
She
my-
was about to say anything of value.
Of that nature.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
said.
Sure. Of that nature.
You
I mean,
just telling me
on
about all the arrests you made last night. I think that's valuable.
on the it was one arrest,
Okay,
but
maybe there's
The other
it was one
Other
arrest
nights.
last night and then one arrest the night before. But lots of encounters of the
with drugs.
right, yes. And naked people. But anyway, that's a story for another time. But anyway, in terms of the cold showers, we'll just go back to that really fast because I've been feeling like that right on the edge of like a head cold kind of thing.
COVID.
It's not COVID. I've had no temperature. I can taste everything. No symptoms. Don't attack me in the comments. But anyhow, one of the things that I have found to be an effective method of kind of like stopping a cold in its tracks has been like doing cold showers. And I will say that I consistently feel better when I do them. And I usually I'll feel much better throughout my day until I start to get to the end of the day, and then if I take another one, I'll feel better as I go to bed. And it helps. There's studies that kind of tried to explain why. There's also a lot of people that say that no good reasons why. Anecdotally speaking, just in terms of what I've experienced for myself, They help me feel a little bit better, help me clear everything out, get that blood pumping, get everything moving, which is highly beneficial to me at least. And so, but anyway, it helps kind of get those things kind of headed off. But no, in terms of like still reading the same book,
Nice.
still, yeah, just plugging away at doing life and trying to sleep at some points during the day.
That's good.
Getting back onto I had flipped my schedule around a little bit, so I'm whiplashing back now.
Yvonne?
Yvonne.
Two things. I'm always rotating between books. I just started recently rereading one of my favorite Navy SEAL authors, Stu Smith. He was on a TV show, like maybe Fear Factor. I can't remember, but he was in a cold tank, and it's amazing. He actually increases core temperature. And then, like, he could barely move. Like, he could, like, imagine when you're really, really cold and you don't feel your hands, you don't feel your feet.
Yeah,
you, like, can't
that.
function. Well, he got out, grabbed a pistol, and he had to fire at, like, 5 different enemies, all different directions. And those dudes are awesome. It's pretty cool if you want to.
He couldn't feel his fingers when he was doing it?
You could, I mean, those guys do that stuff in training.
Wow.
Like every single day for so it's like nothing for them, but other people they don't. I don't think they understand like how miserable I'm sure that it would be, and then being able to completely like be able 100% concentration, and then it's just routine for them.
I'm kind of naive. Like how many people are Marines versus how many people are SEALs? Like, is it like a much smaller group? I'm guessing because you act like they're like way more like. I don't know.
I'm going to butcher
tougher.
this. I want to say like just a few hundred maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For the whole country?
You think there's more than that?
I thought there were more than that.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Not very many. They're not very many.
We're in the I think they're in the thousands.
Okay,
because there's
like
6 teams and they're spread off, 3 on each coast.
Like, give me a ratio of like SEALs to Marines.
So I
don't know.
I mean, that's probably Googleable.
I mean, there's
imagine.
I should know this. I haven't looked up that information in forever. I don't think there's.
Honestly, Andy was just talking about us on his last episode. Cleared Hot was talking about the amount of SEAls there were, and I'm blanking on that.
Yeah,
number
it's not very many, but it may be like the low thousands
of the amount of the Navy. So like the SEAls are on the Navy side of the house, and of the amount of Navy, I think it's about 1%.
Okay, wow.
Of the naval population is SEAls.
That's crazy.
I believe.
Yeah,
is what the numbers
really
that he was
small.
putting around. Now, obviously, the Marines are their own deal,
Yeah,
and I have no idea.
Its own branch within the Navy.
Yeah, and I have no idea how many.
I want to say I'm going to sound so ignorant, but I think it's over 100,000, but I don't know how many.
Former Marine, Evan.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Wow.
I mean, the group of guys that I was with that I would routinely see, there's like, give or take 100 within a battalion of about 1,000. Outside of that, I really have no idea. There are Marines around, but I have no idea outside of that. I mean, there are a ton of like battalions. There's East Coast, there's West Coast, there's overseas. I think there's over, but I was so small, like as far as the rank goes, I don't know stuff like that.
They didn't give you that information.
It
was not mission critical.
A 12-year-old kid could Google it right now and be smarter than me.
Yeah. While we're sitting here debating it,
I was
people
in
are
for 4
already
years,
on their phone.
and I went to combat, and the 12-year-old kid knows more than me. But
Google's a powerful tool.
Yeah. Anyway, it has nothing to do with what I've been doing lately.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I brought it up. It's my fault. I finally passed my nutrition certification, 98%. And then this weekend I went to a football game.
What football game?
The state championship for high school.
Oh, you went to that?
Yeah, my stepdad, he was reffing the game. It was awesome. It was in
cool.
Lucas Oil. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
I watched it on TV.
Did you? Yeah. It was a good game. It was amazing.
So the Center Grove running back, we were watching that, and my brothers play football, so they played him, and they were talking about how awesome he is. And I was like, I'm pretty sure he sat in front of us last week at church, because we go to church in Greenwood. And Kyle was like, "What?" I said, "I saw this kid. He was wearing shorts, and I thought, gosh, that kid has really developed calves." And literally,
He's probably one of the best running backs in the state. So
thought-
I guess that's a
I
good
thought that kid has to be a pretty good athlete. And then the next morning at church,
Yeah.
we were walking in and like, it's like the doors here. We were walking like toward the kid and his dad. I said, "That's the kid, right?" And Kyle's like, "Yeah, that's him. Never noticed him." I'm like, "Well, I noticed him by his calves
Yeah.
at church." But anyways,
That's
side
funny.
note, he's good. He's
Yeah,
really good.
I bet.
Anyways,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
should we move on to?
Yeah, I think that's
Questions?
all I have.
All
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So what we got this week?
Now let me
Erin?
pull it back up.
So in case anyone wasn't clear, Erin is the one that runs the show here.
I don't run the show at all.
She makes sure that we know what topics we're talking about. She makes sure that we've got our schedule down.
I'm trying to keep these
Like-
guys on track.
100%, because Evan and I would just sit here and talk about, I don't know,
Things
And-
that I
military.
hope people are interested
I
in.
am
Right.
also always on the clock. Like if my kids aren't with me, someone else is
I
watching
mean, I am
them.
too. I have to train people.
Exactly.
But
hey, look at it this
So-
way. Last night was my Friday, so like I got marked off duty at 7.
Oh, I'm surprised you're
it's
not
my-
having a beer this
It's my
morning.
weekend. I mean, I may already have had one.
Whatever.
No,
All
I
right.
haven't had it
So this week we're going to talk about. So these are just
one
topics.
thing at a time.
Yeah, one thing at a time. One thing at a time. But I just want to be clear. These aren't like specific questions. We ask clients like what they want to hear on the podcast, and they just wrote things down instead of asking questions. So if you want to know something specific,
Well,
ask.
the context is not always known.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you don't necessarily know
Yeah.
who's asking. Or
Right. Yeah, that's what we're kind of talking about.
And some
before
of
we
these
go
may
on here.
require like longer, drawn out answers, or may even require their own episodes. So
Well, I'm trying to hand pick them. Like the ones that do, we'll make them our own
Yeah.
episode. But first, I thought we'd talk about goal setting and goal tracking. So goals.
goals.
we like goals.
Who wants to start?
You do.
Yeah, I'm looking at
I can
Evan.
tell by that.
I don't really.
You don't really? Well, why not?
I think it depends on the goal.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a really, really big goal, I know, what's the acronym? SMART,
Mhm.
right? What, do you guys remember
Yeah.
exactly what it is?
So sustainable, is that the first one? Measurable, accurate,
Or
Achievable.
achievable.
achievable. Do you know the R?
I think it's realistic.
Realistic,
And
Yeah.
timely.
timely. Yep, that's
so
it.
to me, the most important acronym or the letter is realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Is it realistic and simple? Then I wouldn't worry about anything. I wouldn't even necessarily write it down. I would just go do it. It's not that complicated. But if it's a really big goal that's going to take longer than a week to achieve, or a month or 6 months or maybe, 4 years, you're going to have to write it down. You're going to have to think about it for a long time. Tell your friends, what if I have a big goal, I'll just talk about it. I don't care. I'll just bring it up all the time. So I'm telling myself I need to do this and I'll write it down. And, pretty much SMART, in your own
What
words.
a nerd.
You,
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Good.
You can kind of form your own, method of goal setting if it's important. If it's
Right.
a really simple one, then I wouldn't think about it too hard because, you need to achieve it. Just go do it. Let's try it. Just anything,
Mhm.
Right.
any step forward in that direction. But if it's a really big one, you're going to need to, maybe do some research, ask somebody who's kind of been in those shoes before or something like that.
There are
That's my quick answer.
lot. That's a good quick answer. There are a lot of like goal mapping templates out there, and some of them are really helpful. But the easiest way, at least in my mind, if you've got something I'd try not to go anything further than 5-ish years. You've got some really lofty, oh, this is a goal for me, in my
Massive
career,
business,
life.
family stuff. Yeah.
Right. And you always I think they usually recommend retooling those things every 5 or so years because you make adjustments and things happen and things, COVID happens and now you've got that throws a wrench in everybody's plans, and so any plan that you had beyond that, now has to adjust a little bit. And so if you've got a goal that is going to be something that's a long-term thing, you've got to look back and go, okay, what little steps can I take to get there? You know, so if my biggest goal is to bench press 350, because we'll just use that as an easy example, then I need to set a goal to, well, I got to bench press 225, or I got to, whatever I'm at, and you just, okay, I want to achieve X amount of percentage of gain by 6 months. And okay, what do I need to do to get that done? Okay, well, I need to make sure I'm going to the gym. I need to make sure my training program is good. And so there are a lot of little components that will go into whatever goal you decide to do, whatever goal you decide to pursue. And like and we may talk about this, I guess, more when we talk about tracking, but like if you are not, you know, constantly looking at and going, okay, like am I making progress? And then deciding, okay, do I need to adjust my goal? Because so like I'll write a training program for myself, and maybe it's a little ambitious, and I'll get a week into it and go,
Are you suggesting that you may need to change the plan you already created?
All the time.
Oh my God.
That is the biggest thing.
An episode if Evan doesn't make one of those sarcastic questions.
No. Evan and I communicate
almost
exclusively in sarcasm. I think that's our main language.
Yeah. Well, he also he knows exactly what I mean, because a lot of people, I think, fit that category. Mm-hmm. You know, that they think that, well, you just told me to write this out, and like I did, SMART, and then I'm following it. Well, you may need to change something. Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's
and
okay.
The thing is that a lot of times what happens is that if you set a plan and then you go to achieve that, or you go to attack that plan or action that plan, and something doesn't work, or you don't, you know, say you said every day, and I'm going to get up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm going to be like Jocko, you know, I'm going to be a crazy person, and I'm going to get out of bed at 4:30 every day. And you find that getting out of bed at 4:30 every day means that you're only getting 5 hours of sleep, and you're not able to go to bed any sooner or whatever. And so you now know, this isn't sustainable. A lot of times what will happen is people will just scrap the entire plan altogether.
Good point.
Rather than just make a little adjustment and go, okay, could I get the same amount of stuff done if I got up at 5:30 or 6 or whatever, and make a little adjustment and may be able to save the plan. Just make a little adjustment, make little tweaks. Nobody has ever come up with the perfect plan on their first try and never had to make adjustments to it. We make adjustments all the time in programming when we look at, because every program,
if they have, they're not
being honest with you.
Yeah.
Every program we write is essentially goal setting. We have a goal, we have an outcome we want to see, and our program is how we get our clients or ourselves to that goal. And so as we go along, every few weeks, you have little tester kind of things that I'm looking at, or we look at in our program and go, okay, I'm not seeing the progress that I want to see out of my clients, or I'm not seeing the progress I want to see out of myself. What do I need to look at? And then you look at everything. Okay, is it a lifestyle issue? Is it a programming issue? And you make those little tweaks. And if you're not willing to make an adjustment, then you're going to really throttle.
I would argue that the goal isn't that important to you then. That's what I would say.
Or you're just not willing to be flexible. Because there are a lot of times people are just super hard on themselves, and they're like, oh, I'm a failure because this super important goal, I can't do it. I just can't. And they throw their hands up in the air, and they just give up too quickly.
I'm not, personally, I'm not a goal setter. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm a 7.
My goal is to have fun.
Well, no,
we're going to have to do an Enneagram podcast to explain these little 7, 9, and 1 references that we make.
I am the person that is just like, oh, bright and tiny thing over there. Oh, bright and tiny thing over there. I'm like constantly like changing direction. So what I look at is goal setting, like a general goal. Like I want to be like a healthier person. Well, how is that measurable? You know, like things like that. I just think more about like habits more than goals, I guess. I mean, I'm trying to always just make better habits, and I'm trying to make them like part of, you know,
I think my
day.
Right.
If we were really trying to dig deep, I would say that you probably have a lot of like small goals.
Yeah.
Within that, but you're just trying to do the best you can, be as healthy as you can, like all the programs you write, like all the reasons behind it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I would probably give almost the same answer. But then if you asked me like more questions, I would say, oh yeah, well this is why. Oh yeah, this is why. Oh that. Maybe it's not as comprehensive as, one of Jared's goals. One of, but
Yeah. I do have like a vision board. I guess I could look at every single one of those things and be like, that is a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I like
vision boards are huge. They're vision boards and goal mapping, like being able to just get a visual in front of you and see that stuff on a regular basis.
I put it right in front of my Peloton.
Yeah.
As far as like health and habits and stuff like that, I think that the goal also has to align with, if you're driving down the highway, the major highway that you're on, if you're going, a 12-hour drive, even a 3-hour drive, well, you can't stray away from that major highway that far, or else you're gonna, besides like getting gas or pit stop or something like that, Right. So that's how I think of, like the goal has to align with that, and if it's not, then it is not realistic at all, because you're gonna have to go on a different highway, and then are you willing to make the sacrifices that come with that? So I usually think of some kind of like stay on the train tracks, stay on the highway kind of mindset with goal setting, even if it's not, crazy comprehensive, right, or a big lofty goal.
Yeah.
One thing that kind of came to mind when Erin was talking about being a 7, and this really does depend on the goal, because there are some goals that you can make that are more vague, I guess. And that's something that I guess kind of I struggle with. And I was actually having this conversation with somebody about a week ago. When you're looking at something like your life, if you're looking at, okay, like what do I want to do with my life? What do I want to do with my time or whatever? The only way that you can, I guess, determine whatever success looks like to you is to find something that is measurable. So if my goal is, I want to be, or say the goal is I want to be more healthy. Okay, well, how can we at the end, how do we know we achieved more healthy?
Or else you're never going to be happy with something. You could have achieved some form of greatness and you never reward yourself or feel good about it because, right.
Exactly. And so if you set a goal within, I want to be more healthy, and you set a mini goal of, this week I'm going to have 2 salads and I'm going to walk 1 time for 10 minutes. Okay, cool. When you achieve those 3 things, okay, this week I've hit my goal of being more healthy for this week.
Yeah.
I can check a box, because there are some people that really like charts and boxes and checking off lists. And if that's a system that works well for you, it helps you visually see, okay, I have achieved this thing. It helps build momentum. And then you start realizing, okay, 2 salads and a 10-minute walk is easy. Now I'm going to do 4 salads and 3 10-minute walks or whatever. And you just make those little steps. And within that, okay, then over time, that will be achieving that goal of being more healthy. Even though it is a vague goal, you set very measurable and achievable mini goals along that way so that you actually can see progress.
That is exactly like what I have and do, like help people do on like health coaching. Am I talking into this?
We've been getting some feedback that Erin's too out of her mic. So
too quiet. So I'm trying to talk into it loudly.
We're going to try to get everybody a little boosted this time.
Anyways, yeah, I think you're exactly right. You have to, for me, I'm a big box checker. I have to just, my time is not my own. So if I just get it done at some point in this 24 hours, we're
such
good.
A hypocrite with that stuff, because I like to make fun of people who live and die by their tasks and checks, but I do the same thing.
Yeah.
But I have to take notes, or else, if I was a genius, and that's why.
Yep.
Because I'll forget it. There's no way I'm going to remember it.
Okay, we're moving along to the next one. Let's talk about sustainable training.
Oh, hold on a second. Sorry, can we go back? Hold on. There's one thing I wanted to say. One thing I will add on my brain's catching up with me still. I've been awake for a while. One thing on the goal motivation. You know, people like to call it motivation, like, oh, I'm lacking motivation. As most have said, motivation is garbage. I almost said something else. Like motivation will come and go. Your discipline, your dedication to that goal, to consistently every day attack that, whether you feel like it or not, is going to be what's going to help achieve whatever goal you're doing.
You mean like
And
certain people on like social media will say it's garbage? I don't think it's totally garbage.
I think
Motivation?
waiting for
I think it's
motivation.
important short term.
I
for
don't
some
look
people.
at like girls in bathing suits on Instagram when
Well,
they say like
no.
motivation, and I'm like, I'm not motivated by you right
No,
now.
I think the idea
Maybe you don't fit the description of who that video is for.
possible. I think the idea of
doesn't motivate me to go try to look like that. Anyways, go ahead.
I think the idea of motivation in terms of like, well, how do I keep my motivation, or how do I stay motivated, and like motivation, at least in my mind, has generally been something that like, okay, I'm motivated by, you know, something I read or something I saw, somebody I talked to, and that makes me want to set the goals, but motivation will not help you adhere to those goals. Motivation is
It comes and
a
goes.
feeling of sorts.
Yeah, for sure. And I
s-
think it's okay to like give yourself grace for that too. Like
100%.
expect to have good days and bad days. You're going to have days
100%.
that you don't feel like going to the gym or doing the thing or whatever it is. And that's why habits are important. And that's why writing down the big goal is important, so you can look back to that and be like, this is what I'm trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, your point about motivation, I think, is right on.
For sure. And the discipline to stay on those things, and something that I've found that helps me stay disciplined is I like little note cards. Those little tiny like
Every time I go
index
to
cards.
Jared's bathroom here,
Index
I'm
cards.
like,
For like
I've got,
what am I
like
going to do
quotes?
today
Yeah,
to make
okay.
myself?
I've got index cards like on the mirror in my bathroom. I actually have one an index card that's stuck to the ceiling above my bed that
I
I
knew you
have
were
to
gonna
see
say
when I
that.
wake up every morning. I'm not going to tell anybody what it says, but
I can only imagine.
and so to that, and I think this could be a podcast in and of itself, so we can do
Definitely.
more. But like things like focus words and mental, you know, I think we could do a whole thing on quotes probably and
Oh
focus
my
words and the things that go into that. There's a lot of the mental game that is
I'll set
played
that one out, guys.
and won in that realm. But anyway, just wanted to put that in there. Like, don't rely on motivation to be your driving force. Like, there are going to be days you're not going to be motivated. Your discipline and dedication to your overall goal is going to be what keeps you moving forward.
Do we want to talk this whole podcast about goals? Because I have another point I like about.
We
kind of
could. I mean, it's
off
our
of what you
podcast.
said.
We can do what we want.
I like identity, like calling yourself what you want to be called. Have you guys ever read the book Atomic Habits?
I've never read it.
What's
actually.
the guy's name? Something, but it's something obviously.
He has a name of some kind.
Yeah, it's a good book. I would recommend.
I think,
anyone read
like,
that.
I mean, identifying yourself as whatever that goal
Yeah.
is, I think that's a huge, like, kind of
There's-
at least first step. And because it's going to be hard because you probably don't identify.
Old
as
boss
Old
taught
one.
us the Enneagram. Old boss taught us the
That's
Enneagram.
what we're going to call him.
And felt like he always used it against us. Like in my mind, I mean, I call it by his name, that voice in my head that says like, I don't stick to anything. I don't ever complete a task. Like all those things that he would like say, like, this is what sevens do.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I've worked for the last couple of years trying to like break that identity and call myself the opposite of what those things are saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then you start to have behavior that is true to the identity that you've given yourself.
Right. There is a ton to be said for the power of like self-talk and for the power of your words. Like your words have more power than anybody else's in your own life. Like if you can say things positively about yourself, like you have the ability to make a huge difference in how you respond to what's going on around you, to how you the prism, I guess, through which you see the lenses, I guess. You see what the things that happen to you. So if you walk around and you consistently say, negative things about yourself, or you're always, down on yourself, when situations happen, you're going to see that as, oh, this is just what happens to me, or, oh, this is just my luck. I think that, Jocko's good video, that's a really good, not, I guess encapsulation of that theme of just like whatever happens, you consistently always have to find there's an upside somewhere, and it can be found, no matter what situation gets thrown at you. You get fired from your job, good, gives you an opportunity to do this. You have this happen, good, gives you an opportunity to do something different. And there's always, as much as it sucks, there's always some way to talk to yourself to find the positive.
Yeah.
If you're committed to doing that, at least.
What were
Evan
you
looks
gonna
like he
say?
wants to say
I
something.
know.
Nothing. I'm laughing. I'm thinking of so many old military stories. So I think as far as goal setting, motivation, internal versus external, motivation, discipline type stuff. I'm very internally motivated, and no one would probably know it at all. What are you guys? Or have you thought about it?
So
Internally or externally motivated?
Yeah, so like I'll give you an example. My brother has only ever seen me. He's known me 34 years. He's only seen me tear up once in my life. Within seconds, I can get emotional if I think about it hard enough. So I'm very, very internally driven, regardless of what it is. I have a book. It's a book of quotes, really. It's from like stuff from the military. Just there's no way that can come on the podcast. But anyway, there's a bunch of great quotes that I will read about once a year. And it's just the best story ever. It's amazing. It's just quotes from all my buddies and stuff, and just funny things that
This
I
is the book
experienced
that
and
you
stuff.
made of quotes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's a really good memory.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, for a long time, I didn't even open it. For years, I would say 5 or 6 years, didn't even open it. Because I once I was out, I just wanted to do away with it. I didn't even want to think about the past.
that might be something that someday might be helpful to some people. Just think about that. Let's mull that over for a little while. We can move on from that from now. But anyway,
bring it on.
No. Well, I meant like the
Pick
idea
and
of
choose
like
what I decide to read.
I mean, I think the idea of publishing something like that might be helpful to people.
I could
someday.
Oh, I could easily make it. I could easily make it a book.
That's awesome, Evan.
Just
do
that one
that.
thing.
Because I think that there are.
Does
a
this
lot.
surprise you guys that I don't think anyone would ever care to listen to
No,
that?
it doesn't surprise me
it doesn't
at
surprise
all.
me at all. I think that
I'm always like, Evan, and then I don't know anything you talk about. I'm like, tell me about that. Like, you're talking about
tell
that
other
paper
people
you
about
wrote
that.
last week, and I'm like, send that to my email. Have I gotten an email now? Yet? No, I have not.
If he doesn't write it down, it doesn't happen.
I want.
I
to
didn't write
read
that
it.
down. Okay, all right, I'll get it to you.
Anyways,
yeah, no, oh great, now I'm blanking on what I was gonna say. I think, sorry, because on that same note, I think there are a lot of times where, like, you have thoughts or quotes or experiences that other people can identify with that they maybe have not heard anybody else like say or talk about, and so like that could easily be something that somebody else finds powerful or finds helpful. I know it doesn't seem
stories.
Oh, I have no doubt. I'm sure I'm sure like in your own head it sounds like I don't know how anybody would care about this, but like I would imagine that
it's a
there
personality thing. That's definitely.
Yeah.
about the not caring thing,
or
not thinking that people care.
I care. I just don't think anyone else would care.
Right.
Okay.
Back
Do you want to go back to
your-
internally, externally motivated?
Yeah, back to that question. I would say, I guess it kind of depends on obviously, like it's very dependent upon what you're talking about, I guess. So like for me, it's a, so let's say like just use being like fit. In my opinion, I lost the right to be out of shape and unfit for duty the second I took that oath and became a law enforcement officer. Like, that's my opinion. That's my own personal held belief.
I don't think other law enforcement officers think the same.
There are, thankfully,
That's
there
why
are a
I'm
lot
laughing.
that do.
Yeah.
There
I
are
didn't mean all
obviously
of
a
them.
lot that don't. And take everything I'm saying about the law enforcement field with a grain of salt. I am a less than 1 year rookie, very fresh, wide-eyed, and optimistic. But I think that for me personally, I don't want to be the weakest link. I never want to be the reason that, either somebody doesn't get to go home, somebody gets hurt, whether that be one of my shift mates, one of my brothers and sisters, or one of the civilian population, the community that we're here to serve or help. Like that, I don't want to be the reason that something goes wrong. And so when you, this can get into some goal setting and some motivation parts as well. When I'm training, this goes back to focus words. So when I was in college and I was doing MMA, my focus words were, always in the round, get the takedown, always something like that. Whatever, if I'm in a workout or I'm working in it and I'm wanting to quit, these are the things, you'd say to yourself, just, I don't want to fail. I don't want to, I'm not going to give up. And so then as your reasons for working out change, your focus words change. So I know people that I've worked with that
I have given people focus words unintentionally.
right. And sometimes for some people,
I didn't know
that's simply like saying, like, say your reason for getting fit is so that you can be around for your kids and your family. That means that then sometimes when you're thinking about quitting or that morning you don't want to get up and go to the gym, you have that mental image of your wife or your husband, your kids, and you can say their name or you can say whatever you need to say to yourself to go, okay, I'm doing this for them. I'm doing this for this reason. And that can be something that drives you forward. So for me, I will think about when I'm training, if I want to quit and give up, I will think about my shift mates. I will think about other members of my department. And just the mental thought process of am I letting them down? Am I going to have to be one of the people that shows up at their loved one's house having to say, look, I failed, and obviously I wouldn't say that then, but having to have that mental thought process. And that to me is a motivator for me to continue moving forward in whatever I'm doing, if it's something that's going to make me better. And that can be, okay, well, like that's time for I want to have my fifth donut, lay off that, whatever it is. So I would say that it really depends for me.
Are donuts free for cops?
No. I mean, it depends. There is a very nice lady in our
Isn't
community.
that where like that like
Actually, there's an interesting, so hold on. There's a lady in our community that is very nice and will often buy us donuts on a semi-regular basis. So
I'm sure they don't get eaten.
never, of course not. But
No, thanks.
there was so when you're sleep deprived, your body needs fuel, right? And so in order to try to, I don't know, like stimulate fast, readily available energy, it wants simple carbs, sugar generally, and caffeine, obviously. And so coffee and donuts are simple carbs, simple sugars, and caffeine, obviously.
When you're sleep deprived,
And
you're
so-
also short-term insulin resistant. So
when you're sleep deprived, you've also have just cravings for everything.
Right. And so you tack on shift.
This is not just shift workers and police officers. This is like normal people are sleep deprived.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's part of the reason why you find yourself, when you are the more sleep deprived you are, the more you'll find yourself craving these weird, simple, sugary.
So at 10 o'clock when
garbage.
you're craving Captain Crunch, you should probably just go to bed.
Yeah, just go to bed.
You should probably go to bed. Isn't
Yeah.
that's a song now?
The sleep deprivation and insulin resistant numbers go hand in hand, and they're growing at an accelerated rate. Just not too long ago, it was 67%. And then now it's pretty much 80 or more.
So I think that's a natural segue.
I heard a statistic the other day. You would die at this statistic. And I'm not even going to try. I'm going to butcher it. But I think it said only 12% of Americans don't have some kind of metabolic disease. Does that sound right?
That's true. 88% are metabolically unhealthy.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's
believe
5
that.
categories, so you have to meet one of 5. And
What are they? Share.
It's low HDL.
Mm-hmm.
So part of that could be a whole another series of podcasts, but pretty much you don't exercise. If you
Right.
have low HDL, you don't exercise.
No,
Or
doing resistance training.
Yeah. It's, are you
Explosive
overweight?
work.
That's 2.
Diabetic.
Diabetic or pre-diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
Is type 1 diabetic wrapped up in that, or is that just type 2 diabetic? Because
I don't know.
I would
about that.
imagine that they would count both because it's still
Yeah.
going to be a risk factor.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
Okay.
considered a risk
Um,
factor for like cardiovascular
And
disease.
then hypertension or blood pressure. I think that's it.
Family history is one of them as well.
Okay.
I think you just said 4, but that's
Okay.
5.
Family history is your 5th. But they're all considered risk factors.
Family history is one of them.
Family history is considered a risk factor.
So if you're, but that's not doesn't put you in the 88% metabolic disease. Or,
it can make you more predisposed to develop a metabolic disease for sure.
but that shouldn't put you in that category of having a metabolic disorder, correct?
I don't know what that
Correct?
study was talking about. I wasn't privy to that particular study. Those are just risk
Okay.
factors.
I'm not sure.
So
about
when
the
they
family history.
when they calculate like risk for metabolic disease or cardiovascular disease, they use those 5 risk factors that we listed off, and that's what they look at.
I just mean if only 12% of the world, or not of the world, of this country,
Right.
it doesn't have some kind of metabolic disease.
And-
Like, obviously, we are sick and
There's
Yeah.
a problem.
getting sick, and
Yeah. And to that, I think that, and kind of what we were talking about with sleep deprivation, all kinds of
yeah,
kind of blends together. As a nation, we have. It's an interesting juxtaposition. I think it might be word I'm trying to think of at the moment, but the idea that we want to, as a gym and as individuals, we want to bring back kind of the dignity of hard work, right? Is this the idea that, at least in my mind, we want to work hard, but at the same time, we have to remember to I don't know, rest hard, I guess, and
recovery
to put
was one of the topics that I had today as well. Recovery.
yeah, because if you don't, like we can do all this talk about goal setting, but if you don't take the time to recover, to be well rested, to take care of yourself, that should be one of your goals. None of that other stuff's going to matter because you're going to be stressed out. Your cortisol levels are going to be through the roof. You're going to develop some kind of develop some kind of metabolic disorder, and whatever goal you thought you were going to achieve, you're going to burn out well before you get there, and that's not going to be in any way healthy or sustainable. So it's a weird balance of balancing being driven and attacking your goals with a fury, and making sure that at the same time you take time to take care of yourself and get the sleep you need, drink enough water, actually get nutrient rich foods.
This country prides themselves on, productivity and not sleeping. I mean, how many people do
We
you hear?
glorify it.
Yeah, pat themselves on the back for getting 4 hours of sleep last night. And what is that? What why is that a good thing,
Right.
I mean, that is part of that balance you're talking about. You're not going to lose weight if that's your goal. And that's a lot of people's goal at the gym. I feel like you're not going to lose weight if you are working your butt off and not sleeping. You're not going to lose weight if you're waking up at 3:30 a.m. to work out. You should be sleeping,
There's no research.
Especially if you went to bed at, especially if you go to bed at, 10 or 11 o'clock and I'm going to get up at 3. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, besides like Arnold giving a speech, there's no research that I've read in existence that says less is more with sleep.
Right.
You can't.
No.
Mm-mm.
You
It's
have to get
impossible.
enough sleep.
Yeah.
I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because it's important.
I believe in
But
you.
it's a research study on sleep, and pretty much it's 6 or less. So like it's pretty much
Oh yeah, you told me this.
5 and 6 hour group or less,
Mm-hmm.
and then 7 and more. Okay, so pretty much if you don't get enough sleep, then whatever goals, primarily, I mean, it doesn't even matter what your goal is. If you're training or, like unless you're malnourished, your body is trying to repair and grow all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it inhibits that growth. Doesn't matter what your nutrition is. It could be perfect. If you don't get enough sleep, you're stopping that process. So you're not going to grow. You're going to grow an extremely slow. You're already going to grow extremely slow rate. But so
Not just grow, because I mean, it's like anything that you're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah. I mean, build. I mean, I'm talking specifically like
Building
build
muscle.
healthy, lean tissue in
Yeah.
the parent itself.
Right.
Or you're going to gain fat.
Exactly.
If you don't, you're going to gain fat. If you don't sleep enough, you're going to be more
I
insulin
mean,
resistant.
I feel like everybody knows like how many people, if I say like, yeah, my kid slept like 12 hours straight last night, they're like, oh, they must be growing. And that's so true. Like you're growing. If you're sleeping more, you're growing.
Something.
Or as a baby. So as an
Right.
adult, if you're sleeping more, you're developing something good.
Right. And so like when we sleep, obviously we know this, like it repairs things. So any stress or damage that was caused during your day, like that goes back through and gets repaired. Any learned skill,
Mm-hmm.
that's how, like if you learn something new and you're able to have sleep before and after it, and good sleep, that's when it's committed to actually learned memory.
Yeah.
It has, so the idea of I'm going to cram for 9 hours at the at my school library, when
Someone tell 19-year-old Erin this.
right, because it's like that's actually you're not retaining any of that. You're not learning any of it. You might store some of it in your short-term memory, but like you're not actually, it's not going to be usable information.
Mm-hmm.
be a healthy person. Let's try to be a little healthier, guys.
We definitely got off the goal topic.
Can I just throw in something about that?
The goal stuff?
No, the insulin resistance
Okay.
thing.
Oh boy.
It's not long.
Go for it. No. You're
You've
good.
probably heard Scarlett say she likes to boss Riker around. She's a rule follower. Riker is not. And she's 4. And she'll say,
Good job, Riker.
like in the morning, like I make them like a high protein breakfast like I always do and minimize like carbs and stuff. Most days. I said like on Sundays we do pancakes and stuff. But she'll, like if Riker asks for like something sweet or something, she's like, you have to eat all of your protein first. And it's just like ingrained in her brain, which I'm so happy.
That's
She
awesome.
doesn't know what it means, but
Do you know who asked the question about recovery?
no.
Okay.
I mean, I could try to guess.
It's just kind of hard to generalize.
We could do like a whole podcast on recovery.
Oh yeah.
I think there's like a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
could
that-
do this. This one's the goal setting one, or the goals with a little bit of recovery.
Right. I mean, the thing, yeah, we could easily go on goals and achievement stuff and things like that. We could go for probably forever. Honestly, we could always find more to be motivated by. Like those are things that are consistent. You make those decisions, and we can always find more things for us that motivate us or excite us. At least as coaches, I'm always looking for new and creative ways to try to get through to somebody else. If you can find a way to put information, frame it in a way that clicks with somebody, I find it beneficial. But
I like.
you can also get to a point of beating a dead horse.
I like to make fun of the young cats that like to have like balls of motivation all the time, and I like to make fun of them and pretty much say, if it's important to you, you're going to do it anyway.
100%.
So like sometimes, I'll be in the gym. Don't worry, I'll be in the gym. And I'm like, I work here, but I have to do stuff. Like I can't always just work out 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
But
What's your non-negotiables though every day? Do you have 3? Like You guys want to go through just like 3 non-negotiables and wrap it up?
Non-negotiable. What do you mean?
That's
Every day, what are 3 things you have to do, like
Okay.
non-negotiables?
I have to. I mean, just 3.
Yeah, just 3.
I pretty much have to read something.
Yeah.
I have to read something, and if I'm reading something, I'm probably gonna write something too. I try. I can't say exercise. I can't say it because I don't train every day.
You could just say, what about movement? Do you always get some kind of movement?
Yeah, I mean,
in?
I could say activity,
Yeah.
but I can't say exercise. You know, gardening's not exercise. Sorry, guys.
I move every day though. Like
Yeah.
if I'm not gonna do anything else, I'll dredge. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
At the start of the day, I mean, everything changes, but like I try to be as optimal as I can with everything in my control that day. So like I know it's a lot of like non-negotiable part, but like optimize like as much good sleep as I can get and try to go to bed early enough to get that. And then nutrition. I try to eat as perfect as I can because I'm going to be around people or an event where I'm, you know, people are going to point or, hey, you're a weirdo, you're not eating cake or whatever, you know. You're not the only one eating brownies or, you know, I like to drink, so if I'm not drinking, people are like, why aren't you drinking? You know, if I could say, or if I said, I'm just not drinking, it's no problem, but I like to drink. So if I'm
You
choosing
don't
not to
get
drink,
are you pregnant?
yeah. So I would say nutrition is probably the other one. I try to be as perfect as I can. Yeah.
And that's perfect to his own standard that he has set.
Yeah.
You know, that's not you know, everybody's got. Sorry, when I heard the term perfect, I immediately was like everybody's gonna be like losing their minds trying to figure out what perfect means now.
Yeah, everyone's different.
100%.
Different example.
Perfect.
Or different.
Perfect to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Glad you
exactly.
brought that up. It's a good point.
I would say 3 non-negotiables. Wow. I don't think I've ever actually like had to like think through that before, but I always do the same. Try to read something. You know, and I wouldn't say writing would be my other one on that. I will jot things down if I find, you know, something that I need to write down. I try to move in some way, shape, or form. I need to get back to it. I used to have just the mantra of just like I want to sweat at least once a day. So I've exerted some effort. It's because I don't do it every day. I can't call it a non-negotiable, but I try to move something, even if it is simply whatever my morning flow looks like, you know, and that can simply just getting up and making sure I got my blood flowing again, you know, do little push-ups and some stuff, but nothing that I would consider, you know, like I don't do a full workout every day. You know, because there are going to be days where you just don't feel good or you got to get something else done or it happens, you know. And then I try to take time in each day and just be quiet with myself. Right.
Admirable.
And just at least
That's so funny. It's
at
not
least
funny,
let myself
I'm sorry.
like chill out.
Yeah. Every that is. I'm gonna interrupt because
for it.
everybody needs their own what you just said. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And the hardest thing to do is to find that. And as hard as I poke the bear, you're not gonna want to do it. So you have to develop a goal or whatever.
A checklist.
You
or whatever.
gotta do it. You gotta do it. It's
It
super
feels like
important.
an eternity the first time you try to like just sit down and be quiet with your mind or like not touch your phone. You know, like, and to just be able to, you know, give yourself 10 minutes or 3 minutes or hide in the bathroom from your children for 5 minutes or something, whatever you got to do, to give yourself time to take a few deep breaths, you know, and that's like a time where I try to either do like a 4x4x4 breathing or do a 6 count, you know, where you breathe in for 6 seconds, you hold it for 6 seconds, you breathe out for 6 seconds, you hold that exhale for 6 seconds, and you can do that for 6 or 4, however, your lung capacity, and please don't try to like pass out, do it somewhere safe. But that helps bring your heart rate back down, helps me at least, chill out and think about my day, try to get all those thoughts just kind of purged and get to a point where hopefully eventually I chill out. A funny note, I've mentioned it to these guys before, but in the time of editing these podcasts and stuff, I've noticed how much I talk, and it's exhausting to me to listen to me talk this much. I'm glad that our podcast listeners stick around, but my brain is always going, and so taking time to sit down and to tell myself to shut up takes effort on my part, and it takes effort, I'm sure, in restraint from Evan and Erin to not throttle me while we are on this podcast. Right, I'm sure Erin's gonna start kicking me here in a minute. It's probably about potty time for you, isn't it?
It is.
What are your 3 non-negotiables?
Yeah, what are yours? You made us go.
I didn't know if I was gonna have time. I wake up early every morning for my kids. I have to do it. I mean, even I drink. I get hungover some mornings. I still have to wake up early before my kids, because I have to have that alone time. I have to read my Bible every day. That's just, I have to do it. And I have to move every day. And then I don't want to call them rules, but I do have really strict rules for how I eat. I used to have disordered eating, not an eating disorder, but disordered eating. So I just have really strict rules about eating. I have to sit down when I eat. I have to put my phone away when I eat. I cannot have my phone in the room with me. And yeah, those are my non-negotiables. I have to do that stuff. And my kids know it. They see me at my little area in the morning, and they know don't ask me for things. Leave me alone until I'm done, because it doesn't take me very long. But even if it's just a dance party in the basement with my kids, sometimes that's all I can get in for movement, and I do that. Sometimes it's just a walk. Sometimes we just run in circles around the house. But whatever it is, I have to do that. And yeah, 3 things.
We, at some time down the road, should dig into it's a huge differentiation in terms, the difference between an eating disorder and disordered eating, and that mental relationship. If you were ever interested in digging deeper into that, I think there's some people that could find that interesting and helpful.
I love talking about that stuff, because I had serious problems in college, and I was overweight and just unhealthy. I mean, I thought I was healthy because I was running miles and miles and miles, but
endless cardio.
Yeah.
Trying to eat less and do more. It can be a generalized good start for good advice, but a lot of people take it way too far.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then I'll do way more and eat way less.
Yeah.
I think
you won't see what you want to see.
Yeah. I think that the amount of people that have poor relationships and very unhealthy relationships with food and I think it would surprise. I think that would surprise people, the amount of men and women that have issues with that. And I think that's something that a lot of people probably feel very alone in.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine, but that there's a lot of people that struggle with those things. But anyway,
potty time.
Erin is at potty time, and it is at 1 hour and 15 on my camera.
I got to get tired.
This is perfect timing. Erin, it's clockwork. This is consistently now. This is 4 podcasts in a row.
Right in my head.
And
I would add to the non-negotiable for me. Hearing you guys say it out loud.
Yeah.
Erin's gonna leave here in a second.
No,
she's just gonna run away.
Alone time. It is so important.
Amen.
I actually get more stressed probably around holidays and family time because there's no escape.
Yeah.
I just need a little bit of time to chill out by myself with my own thoughts. And it is so important that I make sure it happens every day, for sure. But yeah, around family, it's oh man, can't. But I also have a little bit of a gift that I can kind of create that, even in a group atmosphere.
He just zones out and doesn't listen to us.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm help Erin out.
Thank you.
This is the end of episode 4. Hopefully, some of this was helpful. If you guys continue to send reviews on Apple Podcasts, continue to send us emails, text messages, DMs, questions you guys have, comments, concerns. We appreciate the feedback. We appreciate you guys sticking with us. We've enjoyed this so far. And, yeah, I think I'm going to go to bed. And Erin's going to go to the bathroom. So have a good day, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you next week. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of PartyCast. Check us out on your favorite podcasting site. And remember, each episode is also available on YouTube. Thank you for joining us on this adventure, and we will see you next time.